Alrighty, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Untitled Talkshow, where I'm here with the D1 CSGO Team. Is it RIT Orange?
RIT Orange, yeah.
RIT Orange, and we're going to quickly go around. Everyone's going to introduce themselves, talk about how they got into Counter-Strike, what they're doing now, and yeah, I'm super excited. So, I'm your host, Bailey. I'm also being joined by my man.
I'm Simon. I'm new to the operations team, but I'm here to learn.
Awesome, and we'll start with you, my friend.
Hey, I'm Matt, MJP Bucell. I'm a fourth-year computer security major. I've been playing Counter-Strike for about 5-6 years now, and I've been on the team since a freshman.
I'm Kyle, K2 Jackalef. I'm a fourth-year computer engineering major. I've been playing the game for like 7 years now, about.
I'm Aiden. My name's Proto in game. I'm the opper on the team. I've been playing CS for about 8 years now because my homie from Minecraft survival game started playing and didn't want to leave and take a ban.
Hello, I'm Gian, but everyone calls me Uni. I've been playing CS since 2013, and I'm a rifler for D1.
Awesome. Oh my god. I would love... So, we caught the back end of, I think, just like you were halfway through your last game. I'd love a synopsis of what happened in that last game. That I know it's a little crazy, but...
Okay.
Just for the record.
So, default time is normally 6. 6. One of our teammates who's not here has work at 5. So, with the 30-minute delay when we had to move setups, we were running late. So we were just trying to get that game done as fast as possible so we can get him to go to work.
Yeah, we had started the match at round 2, and we were kind of hoping it wouldn't go map 3. So map 3 combined with a 30-minute delay, we were quite literally holding W at them on overpass.
And it worked.
It definitely worked.
It worked.
Oh my god. So, you guys have been playing together since last semester, right? So we're in a new league right now. We started the spring stuff, right?
This 5 started playing together at the beginning of last semester. Before that, Matt and I have been playing together for the past 4 years. And we've known Uni because he was on D2 in the past. And then we brought in new young talent this year.
Awesome. Okay, so big question for me. I played a little bit of Counter-Strike in the past, but the cool thing that I got was sort of like a breakdown of roles. Like, I've played MOBAs and stuff before, and there's like top laners, mid laners, and stuff, but I didn't know there was explicitly roles in Counter-Strike until very recently. So I'm going to go through, talk to you guys about your roles. So our opper, correct?
Yeah, that's me.
What is it other than just being the person who gets to buy the op?
A lot of the op is just kind of shutting down the line of sight across the map. So, for example, if we're trying to take like a site on a map, we have certain executes, or we'll be saying where we're going to block off vision already, and it's typically my job to follow up the rest of the team and make sure the other team's not doing something silly, like just walking through the smoke. Or if we don't have one line of sight covered, typically I'll hold there for a little bit, make sure nothing silly happens there too, and then from there follow around, run around, do whatever I'm told by our in-game leader, Mr. Matt.
Yes, so the IGL is also a role. Does that mean that you're doing something in-game, or are you just communicating information?
So a lot of the time, in the past, especially when we had, for the previous 3 years before this one, it was the same lineup for all 3 years. And so I did a lot of the groundwork outside of the game that built up our strategies and our map pool. Coming into this year with the completely new roster, I essentially had to restart that. So it's been a process. Last semester probably wasn't our greatest performance, but glad to see improvements. We got it done today. But mainly just in-game, I try to lead us into the right direction. And I take input from everyone in the server. It's not just me and my one voice.
And for members of the audience who are not as familiar, what exactly does IGL stand for?
IGL stands for in-game leader. So essentially like the shot caller, pretty much.
Okay. Next up. The entry fragger. What does that entail?
Yeah, so on this team I'm a little bit more flexible with it, but normally I'm our entry, or at least I try to. They're the one who's positioned in the front most of the or all the time, and entering is heavily based on pathing, which is the direction you take onto a bomb site, and the supportive utility that comes in. So my job is essentially to just have my gun out, run forward, not get hit by flashes, and then just shoot the people who are blind and get the info on where they are.
Okay. And then going through this. Benji, who's our man that had to be at work, right?
Yep.
Which is crazy. I saw, what is it? He told me that, and then I see the game running over 5 on the stream with the delay, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys. But the second entry rifler, what does that mean? Because you're saying you're being flexible.
Yeah.
Is it now like a tag team duo thing?
Yeah, so the flexibility comes from like just kind of where you are on the map. Sometimes like you'll have more utility than the other person, so you got to kind of swap on the like last second so that you get the utility out. But the second in's job is just to, when the first person like might get one but might die, they're there to then kill the guy who killed them, and then you get tempo onto the bomb site.
Okay, all right. And then last but not least, the lurker. Is that what you could describe yourself? I'm sorry.
I'm more of a flex role as well, just like Kyle. Sometimes I do the entry work, and sometimes I'm second in. I wouldn't per se call myself the lurker on this particular team.
Okay.
But yeah, as like sometimes first or second in, I think the most important thing is taking space for your other teammates, because you being the first or second in, you're most likely to die. So taking space for your other teammates to work with I think it's very important.
Okay. So if you aren't lurking, what does being a lurker entail?
I can explain.
Okay.
So the lurker is basically the solo man, like just working the other bomb site or middle or anywhere else by themselves to try to get info or space. I don't know. Let's say if Benji was lurking, he could tell our IGL Matt like info, and then Matt can work with that info and try to figure out where we're gonna execute or end up on.
Okay, so CSGO, game of information, and the IGL is how you guys sort of siphon the knowledge, funnels into you even during the game, and then you're able to distribute that, make shot calls, make plays. So IGL reflects that sort of like the mind game, I guess, perspective of it. What are you doing in game?
So most of the time, I'm doing whatever my role is on the team. So, for example, on Overpass, I'm the connector player.
Okay.
So I, as the player and connector, am not going to get a lot of the info myself, because it's a tiny little area. I see most of the time nobody. So I have to rely on everyone else to feed me that information, what utility they're throwing, what map space we have, what map space we don't have. And I have to try to make reads based off of that. So say we lose long control. We have to gain map control elsewhere. It's a push and pull kind of system. So if we lose something, we have to gain something back. We can't just give it up for free. Otherwise, we're just at a massive disadvantage.
Yeah, I think in general, the flow of a round it'll start with a round start call from Matt, where it could either be like a whole set play that's supposed to go from start to finish of the round that we kind of just run through, or what it is most of the time is a default. And a default is kind of like, you spread out, but maybe more toward with the idea of taking a specific part of the map. So we'll have set util to continue the Overpass example. If we want to take bathrooms toward A, we know we want to send at least 3 people there, maybe smoke from bathroom. It's just like a general blueprint for how we want to start the round, and then we can transition that into mid-round calls, like he said, about if they take control back, we have to pressure something else, and then ultimately a late round call, which bomb site we're hitting, and what util.
Okay. So with that, in addition to just sort of like the communication, what makes an effective CSGO player? Like in just like what would you focus on as an individual if you were like playing the game? And I know that it would probably be in like the queues, right? It wouldn't be, yeah.
I personally think there's no one thing that makes someone very good at CSGO, and that's why the game has been around for so long. You have to be good kind of across the board in regards to your mechanical skill, meaning how comfortable you are playing the game itself, how you can move around, how you can aim, that kinds of things. You have to be able to work very well with the people around you, which is kind of why I like our flexible setup, because we have a lot of talent. It allows us to play off each other a lot more than if we had a straight, rigid structure, which I personally like. And then on top of that, you have to be able to think and anticipate what the other team's going to be doing, because so much of the game, like you said, is about information, how to organize a team in the beginning of the round, where to go to get the information. It's sure, you can have the information, but are you smart enough and aware enough to know what to do with the information? And so I think those three things of mechanics, synergy, and being able to create decisions and make the right decision is like the three hallmarks that make a good CS player.
Okay.
So on that note, how would you say that your individual strengths and weaknesses come together to make you play as a team? Sort of how much do you each rely on your teammates?
I rely very heavily on my teammates, to be honest with you. I'm kind of new to the roster. Even if Uni was on the D2 team and is playing with us now, I wasn't there to begin with, so I'm very new to meeting everyone. And so a lot of my job is just kind of like floating around and playing around my teammates, and so that'll include things like Benji, who's an absolutely like fantastic aimer, like will beat me any day of the week. It's like I accept that, so I take my job as to set him up to make him perform well, and it's like the give and take of back and forth where it's be comfortable playing with someone or multiple people on your team and then enable them to succeed is really what it is. Play off their strengths and let them cover your weaknesses is kind of what we go for.
So is that, like, as a team, what you guys abuse to win games is sort of playing off? It could be something else, like you guys were talking, Benji's really strong mechanically and all that kind of good stuff with the game. Is it setting him up like a 4 support 1? Or how do you guys think, like, when you win games, what did you guys do well over them? Because it can just be like a raw mechanical thing, but is there something more?
I think there is something more, to be honest with you. I think the foundation to winning any game is obviously going to be having the mechanical skill there, being warmed up, hitting your shots. I think that's crucial to even like having a close game that you lose. You don't get anywhere without that. But I think, like you were saying, where it's when we're playing off each other very well, we're very confident, I feel like is a lot of the big thing. We're setting ourselves up for success, like I talked about. That's what I find leads us to wins, because then we all play in our own element rather than how we feel we need to play. And I think that gives us a very strong advantage, personally.
Okay, so aiming, basically step 1, right?
Yes.
So what are your guys' favorite ways to like practice aiming? Do you guys hop into the game, use an external aim trainer? I'd love to go around on this one.
So a lot of the time, just standard in-game deathmatch, not the standard Valve one, because that's probably one of the worst things you can ever play.
Someone had to say it.
It's anything Valve-based is usually pretty not made well. But there's servers,
Community servers
that you can play. That pretty much every top player in North America and in Europe uses these. Like, so it's like the consistent hub where you'll get good aim practice because you're playing against other top players in the country and elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Besides that, there's a very popular map called Aimbots, made by Uletical, I think. It's essentially just a firing range with like there's so many customizable settings. You know, you have access to every gun, infinite ammo if you want. And you can kind of just like spend an hour, get 1,000 kills, you know, just shooting at bots, just getting used to the flicking.
And on top of that, I think a lot of us, I don't want to speak for all of us, are playing on a separate team as well outside of the collegiate league. So we're all in additional leagues, maybe besides Benji, but we're all playing and practicing with other teams to keep sharp. And on top of that, there are like third-party platforms which host what are called pugs, which are skill-based matchmaking outside of Valve, like kind of what Matt was talking about, to make it a more accurate reflection of your skill and make it more competitive. And I think all of us play in those as well. So we got a lot of ways to stay in sharp.
Is that Faceit?
Yes, Faceit's one way of doing it.
Faceit and ESEI is the other.
Yes.
They are merging.
So just like Matt said, a lot of the top players in North America and Europe use, it's literally just called warm-up server. And they host free-for-all deathmatch, which means it's better than the Valve-based deathmatch because it's team deathmatch, which is Valve, and then this one's free-for-all, so you can shoot literally anybody. And I think it's probably the best way to warm up, in my opinion, because it's real people. And personally, I turn on my favorite playlists and then just kind of just like go brain out and just shoot them.
Oh yeah, the other popular thing is a game mode called retakes. Valve also has a version of retakes, still not as good as the community servers, but it's essentially, it manipulates the game to where you play out a round from the bomb being planted. So game starts, the T's will spawn near a bomb site, the CTs will spawn like kind of as they're rotating for the bomb site, and it's just you pretty much fight and then defuse the bomb. It's just a post-plant situation.
Okay,
Yeah.
but okay. I feel like there is a game mode where terrorists started. Oh, is it the hostage? Where
Yes.
it's like a normal game mode where terrorists are defending.
That's
Okay.
map specific, and that's like Valve's own separate game mode. That doesn't really have a. I mean, there's like matchmaking competitive, but there's not like a real competitive scene.
I don't know. Nace can be onto something with that hostage mode.
I have seen a little bit of
There's
the hostage mode. I know that you guys are like joking around about it, but how much has gone into? Do people play the hostage mode or anything? or-
Office.
Yeah,
Office?
there's a specific map that has a significantly large community that only plays that map. Very shotgun based map.
Okay.
But yeah.
Alrighty. Do you want to throw in one?
While we're talking about sort of different maps, would you guys say that you have a particular map that you're like strong on, or a map that you're particularly not strong on? Is there any sort of preference, maybe different positions that you guys play in on different maps?
Yeah. So currently, we don't have one true set permaban. We'll usually float that depending on whether we ban first or second, because that's a big impact. So if the other team bans the map that we would normally ban, we can ban something else. So the ban order is really important, but we'll usually take something off the board like Vertigo. Not our favorite map.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of weird fights. It's nothing like any other map in the pool. Potentially a map like Ancient. We played it today because they threw us a curveball. We expected them to pick Overpass, but they just picked Ancient off the rip. But a lot of map pool right now is, I think everyone's pretty comfortable on it. We play a mix of pretty much everything between us here as a collective at RIT and our separate teams when we go off and play ESEA leagues, for example. So I think we're confident on pretty much most of the maps in the pool, even if we have little practice on some compared to others.
I wouldn't say we have a favorite. I don't know if you guys would disagree with that. Maybe personally you have a favorite, but I don't know if like we as a team have a favorite. We have like a set 3 that I feel like we play pretty routinely.
Yeah, traditionally with our past roster, it was by far Overpass. I think now Overpass is definitely up there still. I think it can be. As we played today, Overpass was fine. But yeah, I think most of our maps and positioning, like what Matt said, comes down to like, or at least for me personally, is heavily influenced by the ESEA team I play on, because I'm playing with them the most. I'm getting the most practice playing my spots with them on those maps. So it's kind of like when we come together as a collegiate team, it's kind of mixing together map preferences and position preferences to try to get everyone kind of comfortable where they're playing on the map.
What are those 3? Who said 3 maps that we usually play on?
I said that. This is just a bit of pattern recognition. This hasn't been like spoken around, but I feel like the ones we play the most would probably be Inferno, Overpass, and Nuke. I feel like are the 3 that I feel cycle the most.
I feel like you can toss Mirage in there too.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, every college team picks
Yeah,
Mirage. So
I love Mirage. Oh my god. As a filthy casual, I was Mirage, Dust, and maybe oh my goodness, what was the other one?
Cobblestone.
Cobblestone or Cash?
Cash. It was
Yeah.
definitely
Cash.
It was definitely
Well,
Cash.
I missed both those maps.
On a side note though,
Okay.
I do not miss Dust.
I miss Dust so much.
Horrible map.
So we've got one person missing Dust.
Oh, yeah.
One person not.
Get it out.
Get it out,
He's-
and
No way.
Nope, sorry.
He's an opera. Of course he loves
Yeah.
Dust.
Okay.
But to be fair, we played pretty well on it on the few maps we did play.
Thank God it's gone.
Yeah.
No, it was my favorite.
One more thing about maps before we move to something else. We have the map Ancient, which I've never played on, but it got introduced recently into the comp pool. What makes it so different? What makes it different? What's cool about it?
Ancient or Anubis? Because Ancient came out roughly
I have
a
both
year
written
ago.
down.
Okay, Ancient's been out for a while. However, it just got a massive change where
Okay.
the CTs now spawn further back. So all the timings, the Ts get pretty much everywhere first. So the whole dynamic of the map changed, especially the Valve most recently removed the infinite molly bug. So in the past, you could throw mollies that would travel infinitely and then land like all the way across the map. And you would throw those in mid to deny the CT's pressure. But you can't throw those anymore. They're patched, they're out of the game.
They're infinite?
So if you threw a Molotov, normally what would happen if it was traveling in the air for too long, it would just blow up and not like do the effect unless it was close enough to the ground. There was a bug where over specific walls that were made a certain way by the map creator, if you threw it over that wall, it would travel infinitely until it hit the ground.
Like a normal grenade.
Yes.
Okay.
It was like if the molly, there's like a specific height where if a molly is above like the ground, where it'll hit the time where it's supposed to explode, but if it's like about to hit the ground, it'll keep traveling. So you would throw it on like right around a corner, so it would keep going, and then it would get past the wall and hit the ground. It's kind of hard to explain.
Oh, so it would think that it should give that buffer room to shatter too long.
Yeah.
Or okay.
Just source engine things.
Yeah.
So it would just travel significantly further than it was designed to do.
Yeah.
So there was a couple spots on multiple maps where teams were using those to gain an advantage, or just because it was in the game, something you're going to do. But Anubis, the other map into the pool, significantly more recent. We're expecting to see changes on it. Every new map released into the pool goes through some iteration of changes as the map balances out. I think right now it's pretty T-favored.
Yeah.
But it's something we have to learn. It's in the pool now. We replaced Dust, putting some progress into it, but we'll get there.
I think it's pretty interesting. I think in terms of like release day balance, it's pretty good, at least compared to Ancient. And I think it's, T-sided maps aren't very common. It might be the only one, maybe Dust a little, I don't know. But yeah, I like it a lot. It's an interesting map.
I like it a lot too. I like that it's almost like layered, to be honest with you. It's like the same aspect of Vertigo where people are on top of each other and beneath each other in regards to like mid and the canals underneath it. And I like that you can almost quick rotate and just pick between where you want to go pretty rapidly. I like that, and a lot of long angles, which makes it fun for me, the Opper.
I'm pretty sure there was a period of time where it was in the game, like not in the comp pool, but as a operation map. And during that time, I actually didn't play it at all. So I've only been playing this new map like once it got released into the comp pool for the first time, and I'm happy to say that I'm pretty comfortable with it. I don't really have any huge critiques with it right now.
Me either.
Awesome. Alrighty. Do you have something you want to say? Or is there something jumping at you? We got a couple more like fun little opinion ones and then some like big overall things. And I think that's how we're going to wrap it up. But let's do just a couple fun fast fire ones. The A1S versus the A4. Is that an easy one for you guys? Because I've asked everyone and they all say the S. I like the A4.
I personally think it's an easy one for the A4.
For the A4? Yes! That's what we like to see. That's what we like to see. But I feel like there might be a counter argument brewing. No?
The A1S, it's just cheaper. It's still broken. They tried to nerf it. It's better in every single way. You can buy more utility. I guess there's some argument where like the anchor player of the bomb site needs the extra bullets.
The rate of fire.
But just hit your shots. It's just better. You don't need the extra bullets.
It shoots faster, you kill people faster,
That's what I'm saying.
I think currently it's definitely the most balanced it's ever been between the two. I think you can kind of get away with playing either. It's definitely preference based. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm on the A4, but that's just because it's what I'm more comfortable with. I was never really an A1S player. But yeah.
I'm in the same boat as Kyle with this. I was messing with Matt. It's 100% a preference thing. But it's like I've used the A4 for so long before the update. I switched to the A1 when it initially came out, and then they made some small changes, and I'm back to the A4.
Although the one thing I will give is that the Opper probably should be on the A1, because it being cheaper allows them more access to getting an Op earlier. But...
I just don't Op on my other team.
Yeah, it's all good.
I personally used the A1S when it had more bullets, but ever since, I don't know how long ago it was, but let's say a couple months ago, I switched back to the A4 just because it has more bullets, and I do like to spray my guns. But I do agree with Kyle. It probably is the most balanced it's been like in forever. So I'm comfortable with using either, but I have the A4 equipped right now.
Okay.
I'm glad people aren't using the AUG.
Yeah.
The AUG.
The AUG, yeah. That was not a fun meta to be in.
Did we win during the meta? Was it AUG meta when we won, Kyle?
No.
Krieg meta?
That was last year.
Yeah, when we won.
AUG meta was like 2020.
When we won our championship.
No.
Oh, that's when we lost to Michigan State in the finals.
Yeah.
There we go. I was close.
Okay. All right. You're...
So to bring this to a close, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about as a team, or like anything that we missed that you guys thought was important?
The one thing I've just kind of been thinking about, because I've known we were going to have this interview, is that I think our team has a ton of potential. To be honest with you, I think all of us are very good at the game individually, and I see moments where we're playing together and our synergy is off the charts and it feels like we're unstoppable. And I feel like the more we play, the more we're seeing those moments, and I feel like we're only on the up from here, and I'm excited to see what comes.
That's awesome. I do want to ask one last sort of overall question before we wrap up. The difference, what separates, there's a lot of esports out there, and especially Counter-Strike needs to separate itself from other shooters because, we've got Valorant on the block, a very similar shooter, I will say, at least from an outside perspective, right? What separates Counter-Strike from other shooters in different esports, right? What makes it so addictive? Why have we all dedicated so much time into practicing this game?
For me, it's just because I know what I'm signing up for every game. It's like the game's been around for 20 years. All the staples of the game are still there. I mean, Dust 2 was in there for 20 years too. It's like the maps don't exactly flip over all the time. You don't have to learn new information constantly just to keep up with whatever meta it is. And so I feel like it allows us to almost practice our mechanics and the things we know closer to perfection rather than needing to constantly take on new things and practice them.
Yeah, I think the game is unique because it has such a low skill floor. Because you can boot up the game, have fun, play casual with friends. That's great. You could surf. But it also has such a high skill ceiling because once you enter the esports scene, there's so much goes into the tactical aspect of the game where you're working. It's essentially you're working with others. So a lot of additional like challenges in gameplay come from that too. So it definitely challenges you.
I personally like to compare the game to chess because, like Kyle said, there's such a low skill floor that like anyone can play it, but there's so many layers to the game, especially with teams and communication, all of these other things. But once you get to just like the base of it, it's all the same. It's like you're always practicing the same mechanics. You're always gonna be using the same things that help you win the game, and basically it's like the same game that we've been playing for like 20 years, like Proto said. So yeah, I think you can always, the skill ceiling is so high that it's almost impossible to reach.
Yeah, and what I personally think is the best of everything is how the meta just will continuously evolve, even though it's the same game, the same pretty much everything, mechanics and client stuff wise. So teams have to adapt and ever-changingly evolve to try to find new ways to counteract what has become popular. So the meta will continuously drive on itself. And if that means going back to something that was popular maybe 2-3 years ago, because now that strategy counters the new strategy that came out, it just continuously evolves and just keeps on going and going.
Even if Valve forgets to update the game for a few months, some 15-year-old will, like on G2, will find the most niche tactic that you can use, and it'll get them a ace.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Matt where the meta's changing, even though I said that it doesn't really change that much. I'm going to change my definition of meta to almost like you're always going to see an AK, you're always going to see an M4. A lot of the maps are the same. The mechanics stay the same, and you don't need to learn, like, comparing it to Valorant, you don't need to learn, like, new operators. Those sprays aren't randomized as much. It feels a lot more, you just continuously practice the same thing over and over and over. So that way, it truly is who has the most time and who's the best.
Alrighty, and with that, I'm going to quickly give you guys the platform to plug your socials real quick. If you have like Twitch streams, Twitter. I know I've asked this question in the past for the league guys, and they were like, you want to see my Instagram? If you want that as well, go for it as well. But we'll start one last loop for us.
I don't know. I stream sometimes, twitch.tv/MJBCS. Probably Minecraft. I probably stream that more than I actually play Counter-Strike now.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, K22G_, or on Twitch, also at K22G, I think.
Pretty much all my socials, besides my Twitch, are A_Trabs. I don't really stream that often, but when I do, it's my league matches and occasionally the RIT ones. It's Prototype CS, where first O is a 0 because it was taken.
I stream all of our matches on twitch.tv/unics, one word, UNICS, and my Twitter is twitter.com/UniYX, 2 letters.
And does anyone know Benji's off the top of their head?
Benji does not use Twitter, and I don't think he streams.
He doesn't.
Okay.
Have
So,
All right.
he's an enigma.
Enigma.
Find him on ESEA at Benji.
Yeah. You'll be
Get him
able
our
to
team.
find him on the Discord. But with that,
Sure.
I want to thank you guys so much for pulling up. I know it's been hectic, especially the last game you guys played. And I hope to see everyone watching next week for whoever will be interviewing next. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Great talking to you, man.
And done. You guys are set.
Oh my god, you guys crushed it! Oh my god.
That's the hype we need in game.